How important is conflict to your success? Today on the Daily-ish Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Daily-ish Show, a show not just for rental housing providers, but for anybody looking to be more time wealthy, no matter what business you're in. You're a business for yourself, you have a business, you're a business owner, or you're just in the business of life. My name is Mark Dolfini, your host and your coach for today. So it is really good to see you. How important is conflict to your success? Well, it's an interesting topic because the one of the things that I often refer to when people are having conversations with with me about coaching, or whether they're dealing with unhappy clients or whatever it is that they're worried about in terms of conflict. I think conflict has a couple of different hats that it can wear. So before we go on any further, let's talk about that a little bit. So if you'd like to join the discussion, you can join the Time Wealthy VIP Lounge. And also, you know what? I didn't put that in there. Let me put this in here real fast because if you are ever wanting to reach out to me, I put that in the show notes. Reach out, and this will be, you can just head over to the Landlord Coach page, which is landlordcoach.com/contact. So anyway, sorry, I meant to have this all ready and I was not paying attention. So anyway, that is all you need there. All right. So and we will scroll across there. All right, very good. So if you'd like to reach out, just go ahead over to landlordcoach.com/contact, and you can do that. So is that contact or nope? It's connect. See, this is why you shouldn't pay a lot for this show. So it's connect. Anyway, all right, there we go. There we are. All right. This is why this is not professionally produced. All right. Anyway, so welcome to the Daily-ish Show. So how important is conflict to your success? Well, there's obviously the unhealthy kind of conflict that we all know. And that's the conflict where you might see people rioting. You might see, that makes the big headlines of something happening where we're having conflict and attacks and violence and, even things that are going on in Congress, that people are bickering back and forth and they're never really being, it doesn't seem like they're ever getting anything accomplished because all they're doing is fighting. Well, that kind of conflict, that's the unhealthy kind of conflict. And that kind of conflict will, it leaves you weakened. It leaves you no better off. There's just fights that go on all the time. And if you watch enough of the news, you're going to see so much of that's just unhealthy conflict. There's no point to it. And I remember I think it was a Chinese proverb that it was something along the lines of, when two tigers fight, both get injured. And that's entirely true. And that's the kind of conflict that you definitely want to avoid. So let's look at the, where you have, on the contrast, healthy conflict, conflict where you have, it's not necessarily you're attacking the individual or the person, but you're having conversations about ideas. You're having conversations, you're having debates, and it's about the principles. It's about the facts. It might be, different perspectives and things like that. Those are the healthy sort of conflict. And that is the type of conflict that you do want to embrace. And even though it's really interesting because whenever I would ask people in terms of conflict, should conflict be avoided, especially, at all costs? And if I'm asking this among a group of people, especially a group of people who are seemingly getting along pretty well, but it's interesting because there's no real depth to their conversations. There's no real depth in terms of the types of conflict and how deep the conflict will go. It stays at a very superficial level. And especially when you're looking at conflict among groups that normally get along well, or they have to make big decisions, they never go below those surface levels. They stay pretty superficial because they've never gotten to actually deal with any real conflict. It's always stayed at a very superficial level. And that's where you get that fake harmony that is really not productive. It doesn't really do anything because, as a result, you'll get a group that entertains the same fights over and over and over again. They never get anything actually accomplished. And then it can devolve from there because they never actually know how to have healthy conflict. So what are the reason why is because they're doing it out of fear. They don't know how to have healthy conflict. So they think that all conflict is bad, so they just avoid it altogether. Part of the reason is because that at least what I've noticed and from what I've studied and what I've read is, and it's pretty common sense that you're avoiding conflict because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings. It makes sense, right? If someone in your group or someone in your sphere didn't do something that they were supposed to do, you didn't confront them because you didn't want to hurt their feelings. I can get that, right? Um, but I think that, a lot of this too is that it stems from people that don't know how to have healthy conflict because partly of where they grew up or how they were maybe how they were raised. Maybe they were raised in a dysfunctional family, so they have a limiting belief that they think all conflict is bad, so all conflict therefore should be avoided. But one of the things that I have noticed, and this is something that I have kind of had to come to terms with, is that most of my growth, and I would suspect this is probably the same for a lot of people, most of my growth has come from when there has been healthy conflict. And it's maybe the conflict has at one point been unhealthy and became healthy, and then we could actually grow from it. I think that's when I can say that for a lot of things. Whether when Jen and I have a fight, right? When my bride and I have a fight, and we're not having healthy conflict, right? It's kind of bickering, and then we realize, okay, I was wrong. I'm sorry for this. I shouldn't have overreacted, and then it's a healthy kind of conflict. But when you do this, I was thinking that you meant this, and that's whatever. Now we can have a conversation about ideas and those sorts of things, and that's when the most of the really important growth happens. And it doesn't mean that everybody has to get along. It just means that everybody should feel heard. That's what's really, really important. So I remember I belonged to a mastermind group where there was very, very high level performers that also belonged to this mastermind. And it was the first couple meetings. In fact, it was the first meeting that I belonged to, and these people didn't really know me that well, and they called me out on some BS that was going on. I wasn't being authentic. I wasn't being who I really wanted to be. I was showing up in a different way, and they called me on it, and they called me on it hard. But I will tell you, I'm so grateful that they did because my level of growth, not only within that group, but outside of the group, really hit an exponential level. And when I got a little vulnerable with them, when I realized, like, okay, they're actually trying to help me, I'm not trying to hide anything here, that conflict became really, really healthy for me. And I recognized that they weren't there to tear me down. They weren't there to try to make themselves look better at my expense, but they really were trying to help me. But there's no way I could do that unless I was going to show them some vulnerability and also be okay with that type of healthy conflict. So just something to consider, especially if you are having issues in whatever, whether it's a small group of 2 people or a group of 20. You must be able to have healthy conflict within that group and show some vulnerability as a leader, and then you can start to show and allow that healthy conflict to develop. So that is all I have for today, everybody. If you are interested in connecting with me, I having a lot of people that were reaching out to me on Messenger because they didn't know how to reach out to me. So I was like, you know what? I don't know how that got removed from my website. So if you'd like to go to direct, you can go to landlordcoach.com/connect. That is probably the best way to reach out to me. I know there were some people who are interested in the one-to-one coaching and the mastermind that I frequently talk about. It's not a sales call. And the reason I can say it's not a sales call is because it's not a fit for everybody. And I'm not a coach for everybody. I have a very unique style, I would say. And not that I want to qualify unique, but again, I want to make sure that everybody is a good fit for the mastermind and the one-to-one coaching. So that's all I have for today, everybody. So please be sure to place a value on your free time, because if you don't, someone else will. But most important, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. Have a great day. See you next time.